Ashwin Ramesh from SignUp. I had personally had opportunity to listen to him twice. He's a great speaker from marketing and lead gen perspective. So we are having him speak on predictable lead gen. So welcome.
Hello. Okay, that's great. I'm getting claps right away. So hopefully you all clap after the presentation. Ravi, thanks for the great intro. Was supposed to be an hour-and-a-half workshop, but I'll try to do my best in the 30 minutes I've been given to myself. So like Ravi said, I'm Ashwin Ramesh. I'm CEO of SignUp. We are a 4-year-old SaaS startup, and I've been an entrepreneur for about 12 years now. So this is my second startup since high school. I founded my first startup when I was in high school, when startups were not cool back then. I don't think NASSCOM had product conclave back then, but it's great to be speaking here. So a little bit about SignUp just before I start talking about our journey getting to predictable lead gen. Right? A little bit about our company. So in the past year, we've grown 300% in terms of ARR, and this is from a very large base, and we managed to do it by making our lead generation more predictable, making our marketing more predictable. We've gone from 100% inbound leads. Inbound leads is like the holy grail, right? Everybody's like inbound, inbound, inbound. We've gone from 100% inbound leads to 60% in the past year, and I'll talk about that a little later. We generate 3,000 leads every month. Still not as much as a lot of other companies, but we still considerably scale that. And 95% of our business is either mid-market or enterprise. So we're not an SMB software company. So a lot of our bread and butter is based on lead gen. And the way we generate leads is much different from what other people do. So I'll start first with my journey, right? For us, our journey was very interesting. Getting to 1 million in ARR for us was very easy, right? We got to 1 million in ARR in 9 months. That's like 3 quarters. And all we had to do back then was pick up an incumbent, advertise against him, create content around it, and we got to 1 million, boom. And that's what I see a lot of SaaS companies in India doing. We all pick a product, we clone it, and then we get to 1 million by just focusing on AdWords, exact match, and then ranking for stuff like, X versus Y, A versus B, B versus C. So that was a great ride, great journey. But after getting to 1 million, we figured out that our business had plateaued because it was all about leads. We were generating leads, but you can't just depend on an incumbent to create leads. That's not predictable enough. And that doesn't scale very well as you grow. So what we realized at that point is that we were in a very greenfield enterprise-focused category, right? Most of us, when we talk about SaaS, we only hear about the SMB SaaS companies, right? We don't hear about enterprise SaaS companies. And not a lot of SMB SaaS companies exist that actually sell their product using a Salesforce. Selling using a Salesforce when you have an SMB SaaS software company is extremely expensive. Unless you're in the right market, unless you have the right factors working for you, you really can't make it work. The largest SMB SaaS company in the world, software company in the world is probably GoDaddy or Wix or Squarespace, and none of these companies have Salesforce. And we started a company which was extremely sales driven, and we started focusing on an incumbent. We started going after SMB, micro SMB, but we realized that we were not really in the category that people could remember. We weren't selling CRM. We weren't selling business information software. We weren't selling websites. We weren't selling help desk software. Not really recognizable categories where you could just do AdWords, spend money, focus on the competition, really focus on SMB where there's a lot of demand because SMBs adopt products later, right? Enterprises adopt products fastest. SMBs have very low loyalty. They will switch over very fast, but it takes a long time for them to start using something like a CRM because Salesforce started many, many years ago. But back then, no SMB was talking about Salesforce. No SMB was talking about CRM. They were still using pen and paper to manage their leads. They were using something called a Rolodex back then, right? And we were in a category that was really in day -2, right? The category hadn't even existed 3 years ago. Didn't have a name. Extremely greenfield, so we had to really, really focus on an enterprise model to scale after 1 million. So I want to talk a little bit about established versus greenfield categories right now, right? Because this is something that, again, people have a lot of notions about. The problem with established businesses, established categories is that there is already search volume. There's already people searching for something. So if you are going to build a company that is competing with Salesforce, if you're going to build a company that is going to compete with a SAP, You already have a lot of people searching for a CRM. You have a lot of people searching for a SAP or a Salesforce or a base CRM or any of those systems out there. So what you could really do is you could buy traffic using AdWords. You could just literally go online, bid on their terms, bid on like a term like CRM software, and you get hundreds of thousands of leads every month. And these categories, again, are global in nature, right? People are searching for a CRM everywhere. They're searching in India, they're searching in Timbuktu, they're searching in Africa, Jamaica, everywhere. And you can build predictable lead volume just by SEO and AdWords, right? Because you just know, you focus on keywords and you can buy traffic. But with Greenfield, what we realized was that, hey, there is no awareness. Nobody knows what we're building. So nobody can really type in a keyword, type in a search term to know what we were doing and find us online, which meant that we couldn't really scale predictably using AdWords, scale predictably using SEO. And that'll be the case for a lot of people who are starting SaaS companies because, again, building companies in established categories is hard because when you're buying traffic, it's expensive. And you're competing against people who have millions and millions of dollars who you can't outbid. So AdWords isn't always predictable, right? It's like playing poker, right? And every company I talked to in the beginning said, hey, spend money on AdWords. Performance works. It works for Zoho, it should work for you. The problem was it never worked for us. I felt like I was playing poker every time I was like spending money on AdWords. The problem is you can go all in on poker, but you need to know how to play poker well, and you need to know who's on the table. If you go all in, if you don't know these two things, you're not going to succeed. And for a lot of SaaS companies in new spaces, AdWords is poker. And in fact, when we started initially investing in AdWords, we were spending $4 a click for the same term with the same quality score. We are spending $24 a click in 4 years' time. So not only is it like poker, but it's poker that keeps inflating over time. So we created our own predictable lead gen formula, right? And our formula, our definition was, hey, this is a low awareness market. Nobody knows what we're doing. Nobody can really search for it. If you ask me what sign up does in 2 words, I can't explain it myself because I would be like location intelligence. I'd be like, we manage business information. Somebody else who competes in the market would be like, I do digital knowledge management. But no consumer is actually searching for any of these terms because none of these terms exist. Nobody knows what these terms are, right? So we had to really focus on changing our strategy from being reliant on just bidding on competitors, which is, to be very honest, extremely boring, to actually creating content and to actually scaling more outbound and focusing on non-AdWords performance marketing campaigns. So when we talk about non-AdWords performance campaigns, right? When you talk about performance marketing, everybody talks about AdWords, Bing, SEM, paid search, but there's like this whole arena of things, places out there where you can actually run CPL campaigns, right? So for example, in our business, we found this interesting site called Third Door Media. Have any of you heard of Search Engine Land, Search Engine Expo, right? So there's like multiple companies out there that have content that will actually run lead campaigns for you and help you generate these leads. And you can actually nurture, grow these leads and make it work for you. So we had to basically jump from like, let's do AdWords, let's do performance, to go, let's create awareness through content, let's buy leads from somebody else who already has the traffic and the content, because nobody searches for us. And very quickly we realized while we were doing this that we are in India, right? We have some strengths, we have some weaknesses. Every online marketer will tell you build content. Everyone tells you build content. But the problem is building content is not that easy in India, right? Everyone, when you think of content, what do you think of? Blog posts, text, words, but we're not really good at creating content. We're not really good at writing blog posts. We were in a space where our competition is Moz, our competition is Ahrefs, our competition is SEMrush, where creating content as blog posts wouldn't work because these guys were really, really, really good at creating text content. And we couldn't emulate that sitting in India, right? We just couldn't emulate that sitting in India because they could just get the best writers possible in Seattle. They could buy the best possible content, and we just couldn't. So we realized that we had to twist the game, right? What is India really good at? Like really boring audience, what is India really good at? Software, right? India is really good at tech. So we realized that the content we were going to create was going to be tools, right? Isn't tools content, right? Content just doesn't have to be text, doesn't just have to be blog posts, doesn't just have to be videos. It could be tools, it could be free tools. So instead of competing with our peers in the global audience on what they're really good at, we competed with them on what they're really bad at. They're really bad at hiring cheap programmers. And we're really good at hiring cheap programmers, right? We can go get a programmer for 3.6 lakhs who'll create content day one. I mean, who'll create code day one. So we switched our entire content marketing team from being 7 writers to being 4 programmers and 3 writers, right? And predominantly all the content we were creating was mostly tools. There were tools, there were free tools that we were launching in the market, and those were generating leads for us. We did create blog posts, but blog posts never work very well for us. If you go read the sign-up blog, you're going to cry. I cry every day, right? Unless I'm writing it myself, I'm not able to emulate it, because if I write it, I write with passion, but I'm not able to find someone here who can write with that passion, and I can't do it predictably. I can't like hire 7 writers who write with passion, because A, they don't understand the global audience, B, they don't understand the industry, C, a lot of people pick up content as a career here because they don't get a job in programming. Not a lot of people are passionate about content, because we don't have really a culture of liberal arts in this country. We have a culture of engineering. Everybody wants to be an engineer. So here's an example of some great content you can create and that we created. And I have hundreds of examples, and I don't have time to go over everything. But here's one great example of content that we created. This took us a month to build. Okay, it's called the voice readiness test. Everybody knows about voice search. But do you know if your business is being found on voice search? So if you went to Amazon and you asked, is sign up open right now? If you went to Amazon and said, how far away is sign up from me? If you went to Amazon and asked, what is the closest transit point to sign up? What would it say? This is a question we thought that people wanted to know answers to. And we used our team in India, our content team in India, to create this tool. And this tool has been out for less than a month. It hit the first page of Product Hunt organically. We didn't have to do anything there. We've generated 500 leads so far from this content piece. And 50 of these 500 leads are Fortune 5000 leads. So we have the likes of Macy's and Walmart running this search, and they're now qualified leads in our system. And you know the best part about creating content like this? Even text content goes out of vogue, right? You create a blog post about 10 of the best SEO tools or 10 of the best marketing tools you can use today. Next year it's useless, because you need to rehash that. But something like this lasts 5 years, because nobody is going to, I don't think the paradigm of voice search is going to change. All you have to do is a little bit of maintenance, but this content is going to stay evergreen for the foreseeable future, right? And other examples of content we've created, happy to share it with you, but if you could go to our website, we have a resources section, we have a bunch of tools we built. So we've realigned our entire content strategy to just focus on our strength, which is, creating tools, creating software, because we were really good at that. We're a software company. While going over this journey of using all these methods to create a predictable lead engine, what we realized was that this is actually our analytics in the past year. As you can see, it's an upward trend graph. We've actually consistently grown. I think our analytics, organic traffic has grown 3x, so has our revenue. So there's direct correlation there. We realized that content is great. It's extremely linear, but not extremely predictable, right? And I'll define predictability, right? Linearity is when you know, okay, you're going to create content, it's going to grow. Predictability is when you know I'm going to create 25 pieces of content, I'm going to get 25,000 leads. We could never get predictability with content, but we could always get linearity, right? We knew, hey, creating one tool, creating 3 blog posts, creating so many assets, we are going to grow our traffic automatically. You keep doing it, it's going to keep going up. But I couldn't create like 2 more tools and generate like 5x more traffic, because all of this stuff takes time, right? You got to actually build your audience. People have to start using it. You have to get more referral traffic, and then you start getting more organic traffic. And once we created this content, we actually made it a little bit more predictable by actually nurturing. Nurturing is like the key to creating good lead flow, right? A lot of people consume your content. I said Fortune 500 leads, we got like 50 of them. But none of these guys were ready to buy, right? None of these guys were ready to buy because they didn't even know jack shit about what we were selling. They came and consumed some content, they opted in, they filled in their information, but they were not educated at all, right? So it doesn't end at creating this content, you have to actually nurture them. And we have almost 100,000 people in our nurture list. We use this really nice tool called Autopilot. You should check it out. You can create custom journeys and custom nurtures to actually give people different kinds of assets that you build to help them understand what you're doing and push them to actually get a demo. Another part of nurture is retargeting, right? The best way to retarget is through ad roll. We use ad roll, we do 360-degree retargeting. We do retargeting on Gmail, we do retargeting on Google, Facebook, anywhere people see it, right? Content plus nurture added a little bit of predictability to a lead flow, but still not 100% predictable because it was linear but not predictable. Then we realized our greatest superpower. What is our greatest superpower? What is the second greatest superpower? I talked about software, right? We are really good at creating software. The second greatest superpower is call centers. India is a country of call centers, right? And guess what? You can hire a call center employee for 20,000 rupees a month. You can. And call centers are going out of business. Every job is being shipped to Colombia, Costa Rica, and all these other countries. And we had like this huge number of people who were just ready to dial for dollars, right? They were ready to dial for dollars all day long. And this is a superpower that we were really not using. And this is a superpower that could be extremely predictable, right? So from then on, we realized, okay, content was great, linear, but what is more predictable? When you can add a human being and it's like dollar, dollar, dollar. Add a human being, dollar, dollar, dollar. And that was where we achieved true predictability. So you might think I'm preaching to the choir. Everybody talks about outbound, outbound. But nobody's really cracked it, right? And I don't have enough time to talk about everything we've done, but I'll tell you some of the things we've done. We created a well-working, well-oiled formula, right? And our formula was based on this thing called DMDS, dollar made per dollar spent. That is what our entire workforce works on the outbound side. So we started with 3 reps, we went to 20 reps, and we did this over a period of 4 months. Doesn't take a lot of time to hire people, especially for calling in India, in Bangalore. Just go hire people from 247. There's thousands of them trying to look for a job, right? And they hate their job. They all want to be in sales, right? So right now we spend $500 per rep. $18,000 is their quota. We have an average 80% attainment rate, and we make 30x DMDS, which means for every dollar we put into our outbound efforts, we make $30 in revenue. Obviously, this revenue has to be processed, which means that we'll have to throw it at salespeople, pay them commissions. I hate paying commissions, but we'll have to still do it. But this is the most super predictable thing you can do, especially if you're not in an established category where you can just spend money on AdWords. Model is simple. You have 20 reps, you're making $288,000. You have 50, you're making 720. You have 100, you're making $1 million every month. We know it works because we've been able to scale from 3 to 20. And the model works. Model scales without a problem so far. But it's never that easy, right? People say that, hey, outbound, so Ashwin, I can just go on the street, take a bus to 247, hire 100 people, bring them back to my office, will I become a millionaire? The answer is no. So it's not just about hiring these people. What we also realize that hiring these people alone is not going to cut it. Not only do these people have to be hired, but they have to be paired with creative folks. As soon as we started hiring these people, we had a tweet storm. People in Twitter were like tweeting me directly. They were like, your sales reps will not stop calling us. Your sales reps will not stop making spelling mistakes. Your sales reps will not stop stalking me on LinkedIn. So we had to build a process where each team had a creative guy. So none of my outbound people write emails. They don't write LinkedIn intro messages. They don't do any of that. It is written by a specialist, and anything they write has to be vetted by him. And then we had to build a process around it. The great thing is today we have software. There's a term called SDR, right? Like in the Bay Area, it's a big thing. I don't know how many of you follow Jason Lemkin. Jason Lemkin is a big proponent of outbound because he's invested in Salesloft, of course, and also because it works. There's a great software, and my favorite software is Outreach.io. They're a huge company. They're a unicorn now. And you can build a brilliant process around outreach for your outbound efforts and pair it up with social selling using Orca. There's another tool called Orca, which you can pair it up for social selling. And then you've got this huge community of people, consultants, you can fly into your office to provide training for your people. And here's Sales 101. If you want an outbound team to sell SaaS, don't get a person in India to teach them how to sell SaaS, even if it's outbound. Get a person from the US to do it. So we have a consultant from the US who flies in and who actually trains these people on a regular basis. And not only have we done that, we've also paired them with the SDR team in the US. So every time they have issues cracking enterprise, they have a team in New York that actually helps them do it. So it's a combination of not just hiring people, but giving them the tools, giving them the creatives, giving them the people that they need to succeed. And this is my final slide. So true predictability is achieved when you have a lever, right? And I might come back here 2 years from now and tell you a completely different story, because 2 years ago I came and said, hey, I know everything. I'm the BAP of AdWords, I'm the BAP of SEO, I'm the BAP of performance marketing. But right now I'm telling you that I'm the BAP of, I'm not telling you I'm the BAP, I'm not yet, I'm still learning this. Outbound. So right now for us, going towards 10, 20 million in revenue, our predictability lever is outbound. It works. At 20 million, it may be something else, but you got to keep finding that lever. That lever changes all the time. Lever changes based on the business, based on your revenue scale, based on what you're doing. But you got to find your lever that you need to apply right now. It could be AdWords, could be outbound, could be content, but let's use our strengths. We're in India. We have a lot of strengths. We have a lot of weaknesses, but we have a lot of strengths. Let's use our strengths. And I just had to use 2 of our strengths to get to where we are at 300% growth in a year. Thanks. Questions?
Even for the SDRs, you still need leads, right? So how do you combine it with enough leads for them as well?
So, okay, SDRs, what we do is we have another team. We call them MREs. So I talked about support structure, right? So SDR is a 30K guy. We have a 10K guy. The 10K guy's job is to give leads to the 30K guy, right? What the 10K guy does is he scrapes stuff off LinkedIn. There are beautiful scrapers, Duck Soup, for instance. You can go use it. Duck Soup can scrape all day long. They build the prospect list based on the cohort the SDR team is going after, and then they feed it directly into outreach. So what the SDR does then is he's just like following a sequence. We do a sequence review every week. Sequence breaks, we change the sequence. It works great because everyone's like a horse. They know exactly what they have to do, and they do it well. And then once they learn the process, they get promoted.
Introduction of yourself.
About myself.
Yes, your speech is completely different to what I have attended so far. So
I hope different in a good way, but yeah.
yes, of course, yes.
So a little bit about myself. So I became a entrepreneur at the age of 14, and this is when I didn't even know the word entrepreneur existed. I was like one of those kids from Three Idiots, right? You're born and then they're like Ashwin, Ramesh, IIT, MS, USA, mortgage, Bharat Matrimony. That was my life. And I rebelled. You know, the great thing about being a teenager is you're stupid. So you can rebel all the time. I rebelled and I founded a company. And I got lucky because I found a space I really enjoyed. I found something that was my passion. I found my true calling. So that company was called Organic Apex, bootstrap company, like Ravi Saab. Worked very hard on it. Got punched a lot in my face and decided it was better to spend VC money. So started my next company, which was Sign Up, where obviously we're spending VC money. Hopefully we'll make them some money in the future. I guess that's it. So I guess this is the short, best, most, I would say, time-efficient talk.
Okay, great. Anyway, thank you so much for taking the time and